Wife said she couldn't bring me to her college reunion because they banned spouses, but then her friend texted me photos of her spending the time with her ex-boyfriend. 6 weeks ago, my wife of 7 years, Lisa, mentioned she was planning to attend her 10-year college reunion in Colorado. She asked if I wanted to join her, explaining it would be a casual weekend where everyone was bringing their partners. I agreed since I'd never been to Colorado and thought it might be fun to meet the people she'd spent 4 years with. Lisa seemed excited about the trip and talked about hiking trails we could explore and restaurants we should try. She even suggested extending our stay for a couple extra days to make it a mini vacation. We booked flights together and I took time off work. I purchased some new hiking boots and a jacket suitable for Colorado weather. Lisa and I spent evenings looking at photos of her college days, and she pointed out friends I would meet. There was Mark, who had been at our wedding with his wife, Jennifer, who had introduced Lisa to her first job, and Carlos, who organized an annual charity run that Lisa participated in. I noticed she never mentioned Tyler, her college boyfriend, though I knew from previous conversations that he had been an important part of her college experience. They had dated for nearly 3 years before breaking up during their senior year. Then, about 10 days before the trip, Lisa told me the reunion organizers had changed their minds and weren't allowing spouses anymore due to venue capacity limitations. She seemed disappointed and apologized for the change. I told her it was fine and I'd use the weekend to catch up on projects around the house. I noticed she quickly changed the subject whenever I asked for more details about the new arrangements. When I specifically asked which other spouses had been uninvited, she vaguely mentioned Mark's wife and a few others before bringing up an issue with her work project. The night before her flight, Lisa packed while I watched TV in our bedroom. She seemed to take particular care with her outfit choices, bringing several more options than she typically would for a 4-day trip. She packed her nicest dresses, including one she had purchased recently but hadn't yet worn. When I commented on this, she mentioned wanting to look nice in photos since everyone would be comparing how they'd changed since graduation. She also packed more makeup than usual and spent extra time organizing her toiletries. The day after Lisa left for the reunion, I received a text message from Mark, one of her college classmates who I'd met at our wedding. His message stated that he thought I should know Lisa had been spending all her time with her college boyfriend, Tyler. Mark also mentioned he'd seen them go into Tyler's cabin together and stay there for over an hour while everyone else was at a group hike. According to Mark, Lisa had told everyone I couldn't come because I had an important work project. He included a photo of the reunion schedule, which listed no restrictions on bringing partners. I stared at the message for nearly an hour. Lisa and I hadn't been having any problems. We'd been talking about starting a family next year. We had just finished renovating our kitchen and were planning to tackle the bathrooms next month. We had even started looking at larger houses in neighborhoods with good schools. I'd never suspected her of being dishonest before. I called her that evening to check how things were going. During our conversation, Lisa described the reunion as great, mentioning a hike and barbecue. When I casually asked about the venue and whether the no spouses policy was worth it, she quickly confirmed it was due to limited rooms at the lodge. Then I asked if Tyler was there, trying to make it sound like an afterthought. After a noticeable pause, she claimed he couldn't make it and was living in Europe now. After hanging up, I checked our cell phone bill online. There were multiple calls between Lisa and a number I didn't recognize in the weeks leading up to the reunion. The calls had become more frequent as the reunion approached. The most recent call had been the day before she left, lasting 47 minutes. I copied the number and texted Mark, asking if he knew whose number it was. He confirmed it belonged to Tyler, adding that Tyler had moved back from London 6 months ago following his divorce. I packed a bag and drove to my sister's house. She's a family law attorney. I showed her Mark's text, the reunion schedule, and the phone records, then explained the situation. My sister cautioned against jumping to conclusions, suggesting I talk to Lisa when she returned since the calls could be innocent. When I pointed out Lisa had lied about Tyler not being there and told everyone I couldn't come because of work, my sister acknowledged the concern but reminded me that 7 years of marriage deserved more than 3 days of doubt. She advised waiting to see if there was a reasonable explanation before considering drastic measures. I slept on my sister's couch for the next 3 nights. Lisa didn't call me again after our conversation, which seemed strange for a 4-day trip. She texted a few generic updates and photos of group activities, but nothing personal. The photos always showed large groups, never just her or her with specific people. I checked social media and found several photos from the reunion posted by other attendees. In 3 of them, I could see Lisa and Tyler in the background, standing close together. In one, his hand was on her lower back. In another, they were sitting apart from the main group, deep in conversation. When she was scheduled to return, I went back to our house to confront her. I printed out the phone records, screenshots of the photos I'd found online, and the reunion schedule showing no spouse restrictions. I placed them on the kitchen table and waited. When Lisa walked in and saw me sitting at the kitchen table with papers spread out, her smile faded. Her expression shifted from surprise to concern as she noticed the documents. During our confrontation, Lisa admitted Tyler was at the reunion but insisted nothing happened and they were just friends now. When pressed about her lies, she confessed the organizers hadn't actually banned spouses, she just thought it might be awkward since Tyler would be there. She claimed she was trying to avoid an uncomfortable situation for everyone. When I showed her the phone records of her 47-minute call with Tyler the day before the trip, she tried to deflect by calling my checking of phone records invasive. She claimed Tyler had called about the reunion because he was nervous about seeing everyone after his divorce and wanted to know who was coming. I pointed out that this was the 12th call between them in 3 weeks, not just a one-time conversation about attendees. I mentioned I'd already talked to my sister about divorce options. Lisa became visibly upset. She insisted nothing happened with Tyler. She claimed she was just being a friend to someone going through a rough time after his divorce. According to her explanation, they only went to his cabin to get something from his car, and Mark didn't see them come back out because he'd already left for the hike. She insisted she was just helping Tyler through his divorce and had even paid for most of his meals because he was between jobs. I showed her the social media photos with his hand on her back. She dismissed it as people being squeezed together for a group picture, though I could clearly see space around them in the photo. I told her I would be staying at my sister's that night because I needed time to think. Lisa followed me while I packed, her voice growing increasingly desperate as she insisted I was overreacting to nothing and that I was ready to throw away 7 years of marriage over harmless texts and photos. She brought up our future plans for children and the house we had been considering buying. As I zipped up my bag, she blocked the bedroom doorway, pleading for me to stay and talk things through. I simply waited until she moved aside, then left without responding to these accusations. Lisa called 27 times that night. She left 14 voicemails, each one more emotional than the last. I didn't listen to most of them. She texted constantly over the next few days, alternating between apologies, explanations, and accusations that I was being unreasonable. My sister agreed to pause any legal proceedings while I thought things through. I just don't know what to do anymore. 7 years of marriage and I never saw this coming. My head is spinning trying to make sense of it all. My friends are split, half saying I should at least hear her out completely, that marriages have survived worse. The other half say the lying alone shows who she really is. I can't eat. Did anyone else discover their spouse lying about something like this? I never thought I'd be in this position and honestly don't even recognize my life right now. Update 1. I thank everyone who commented on my original post. I read every single comment, even though I couldn't respond to all of them. The support from this community has been overwhelming during the worst weeks of my life. So many of you shared similar experiences that helped me feel less alone in all this. To those asking for an update, it's been 2 weeks since I found out about Lisa's lies. I've decided to go forward with the divorce. After talking with my sister and carefully considering everything, I realized I can't move past this breach of trust. I contacted Mark again to get more details. He agreed to meet me near his workplace. Mark showed me more photos from the reunion and pointed out how Lisa and Tyler sat together at every meal and activity. He showed me a group photo from the first night's dinner where assigned seating had been arranged alphabetically, but Lisa had switched her name card to sit next to Tyler instead of her assigned seat. Mark explained that he hadn't wanted to get involved, but when he saw them disappear during the hike, it seemed wrong. His wife had noticed too and encouraged him to tell me. He confirmed that Lisa and Tyler spent most of the reunion together, often separating from the main group, sharing private jokes and sitting together at every meal. Another classmate had commented on how they seemed to have picked up right where they left off in college. Regarding the cabin incident, Mark provided a timeline that contradicted Lisa's story. The hike was scheduled for 90 minutes through a nearby national park trail. Lisa and Tyler disappeared about 15 minutes into the hike, claiming they forgot something at the cabins and would catch up. They weren't present when the group returned, and didn't show up for the post-hike lunch. They reappeared about 30 minutes after everyone had finished eating, making their absence much longer than the few minutes Lisa had claimed. Tyler had made a joke about getting lost on the trail that had made several people uncomfortable given how obvious their absence had been. When I asked why he decided to tell me, Mark explained that he and his wife had experienced infidelity in their relationship years earlier, and they'd worked through it, but only because the truth came out immediately. He believed secrets destroyed marriages faster than mistakes, and felt I deserved to know what was happening. I met with Lisa at a coffee shop to tell her my decision. She arrived 20 minutes early and had already ordered my usual drink. She brought a folder containing photos from the reunion, pointing out group pictures with many people including Tyler, trying to prove nothing inappropriate happened. But those photos only showed the organized activities, not the free time when Mark said they were alone together. She had also printed emails from the reunion organizer discussing logistics, but none mentioned any restrictions on spouses. She questioned why I would throw away 7 years of marriage based on what Mark said, claiming he had always been jealous of her friendships and even referencing his behavior at our wedding. I explained this wasn't just about Mark's account but about the lies she told to ensure I wouldn't be there while her ex was. The fact that she had created an elaborate deception rather than simply being honest about the situation showed a fundamental breakdown of trust. Lisa acknowledged making a mistake in how she handled the situation but continued to deny anything happened with Tyler. She suggested marriage counseling, even mentioning she had already scheduled a preliminary appointment for the following week. When I declined, she became visibly frustrated, flipping through her folder of evidence that nothing inappropriate had occurred. She urged me to talk to someone else from the reunion, suggesting two people I'd never met who could supposedly give a different version of events. The next day, I started looking for apartments. I found one near my workplace and signed a 6-month lease. I paid the security deposit and first month's rent from my personal account rather than our joint account. When I told Lisa I'd be moving out, she called her parents. They came over that evening and tried to intervene, with her father emphasizing that every marriage has rough patches and her mother crying and pleading for us to try counseling before making permanent decisions. Her father brought up his own past mistakes that her mother had forgiven, suggesting the situation was similar. I moved most of my personal items to the small apartment the following weekend. 2 friends helped me transport my belongings while Lisa was at her parents' house. I left a note detailing which furniture I had taken and which items I would return for later. Lisa began telling our friends her version of events, portraying Mark as a troublemaker and me as unreasonable. She claimed I had misinterpreted innocent interactions and overreacted without giving her a chance to explain. My sister filed the initial divorce paperwork, citing irreconcilable differences. Lisa texted that she still hoped I would change my mind before things progressed too far. When I didn't respond, she sent an email with links to marriage counselors in our area, stating she had researched their credentials and found one specializing in rebuilding trust. I didn't open the links. Does it ever get easier, Reddit? I am so lost right now. Update 2. It's been a month since my last update. The divorce is moving forward. Lisa initially contested it, claiming irreconcilable differences wasn't a valid reason given the circumstances. My sister explained this was just a delay tactic as our state recognizes no-fault divorce regardless of the objection. Lisa filed a lengthy response to the divorce petition, requesting marriage counseling be attempted before proceeding and claiming the marriage could be salvaged. Lisa has been alternating between apologetic messages and angry accusations. She showed up at my apartment twice, once with flowers and once with divorce papers covered in handwritten notes contesting various terms. During the second visit, she refused to leave until I spoke with her, resulting in an uncomfortable standoff in the hallway of my building. My neighbor eventually intervened, allowing me to go back inside. My building manager has been instructed not to let her in anymore. Lisa also contacted my sister directly, trying to convince her to stop representing me. She sent my sister emails claiming I was acting irrationally and didn't truly want the divorce. My sister forwarded these to me without comment. Lisa then tried reaching out to our mutual friends to have them convince me to reconsider. 2 friends contacted me expressing concern about how quickly the marriage was ending, clearly having heard only Lisa's version of events. Last week, I ran into one of Tyler's friend, Jamie, who was also acquainted with my wife at the grocery store. We'd met at our wedding, and he recognized me. During our conversation, I mentioned the situation with Lisa and Tyler at the reunion. Jamie appeared confused and revealed that Tyler had told him Lisa was all over him the whole weekend. According to Jamie, Tyler said Lisa had claimed our marriage was having problems and was probably headed for divorce anyway. Jamie then disclosed that Tyler had admitted they hooked up the last night of the reunion. When I asked for clarification, Jamie confirmed that Tyler specifically said they had slept together. He apologized for being the one to tell me this information, but felt I should know the truth. Jamie added that Tyler had mentioned feeling conflicted about the situation because he knew me from the wedding, but Lisa had been so persistent and had assured him our marriage was essentially over already. According to Jamie, Tyler had shown him text messages from Lisa sent during the reunion that were explicitly romantic in nature. I thanked Jamie for the information and abandoned my shopping. After returning to my car, I called my sister to relay what I'd learned. She advised me not to confront Lisa with this information yet, explaining it could be useful during divorce proceedings. She noted that if Lisa was contesting the divorce, evidence of adultery could change our approach and advised letting her handle that aspect. She suggested I forward any texts or emails from Lisa to her before responding, to ensure I didn't say anything that could complicate the proceedings. That evening, Lisa showed up at my apartment unannounced after a neighbor let her into the building. She brought dinner from my favorite restaurant and asked to talk. For nearly an hour, she repeated her previous explanations. She was just helping a friend, nothing happened, Mark misunderstood, she loved me and would never cheat. She mentioned starting therapy to understand why she had handled things so poorly and suggested couples counseling again. She brought up our plans for children and how we had always talked about growing old together. Throughout her monologue, I remained silent, thinking about what Jamie had told me that day. When she finished, I, being the stupid idiot I am, went against what my sister advised me to do and told her about my encounter with Jamie and Tyler's claim that they had hooked up at the reunion. She became visibly angry and insisted Jamie was lying and Tyler wouldn't say that. She suggested Tyler might have told Jamie to lie because he was upset that she had stopped talking to him a little while after the reunion when she realized their friendship wasn't worth risking her marriage. She questioned why I would believe a virtual stranger over her, accusing me of looking for reasons to end the marriage. When I asked if she admitted to continuing to talk with Tyler after the reunion, she became defensive. She gathered her things and left abruptly, slamming the door behind her. The next day, she sent a long email claiming she had contacted Tyler, who denied telling Jamie anything about hooking up. According to her, it was all a misunderstanding or deliberate sabotage. A week later, I received a call from Tyler. He explained that Lisa had been calling him repeatedly, sometimes from different numbers when he blocked her, accusing him of spreading rumors. He claimed he just wanted the drama to end. When I directly asked if he had told Jamie that he and Lisa slept together, Tyler admitted to exaggerating when talking to Jamie. He claimed that he and Lisa had spent a lot of time together at the reunion but had only kissed, not slept together. He said the kiss happened on the final night after they had both been drinking at the farewell dinner. Tyler added that Lisa had told him our marriage was having problems, claiming we hadn't been connecting lately and she was confused about what she wanted. He said she had initiated most of their interactions at the reunion, seeking him out during activities and suggesting they catch up privately. When I mentioned that we had been planning to have a baby the following year and weren't having problems, Tyler sounded surprised. He apologized for his part in the situation, admitting he should have kept his distance knowing she was married. After that call, I forwarded Tyler's contact information to my sister, who again advised me not to confront Lisa directly about these contradictions. She suggested letting the legal process proceed without adding more emotional confrontations. I didn't respond to Lisa's email defending herself. 2 days later, she unexpectedly accepted the divorce terms my lawyer had proposed, including our agreed division of assets. The speed of her acceptance after weeks of fighting the divorce made me question what had changed. My sister suggested Lisa might have realized Tyler had spoken to me and had decided to cut her losses rather than have more details emerge during contested proceedings. Update 3. A month has passed since my last update. The house has been listed for sale, and we've already received 2 offers above asking price. We've agreed to split the proceeds evenly after paying off the mortgage. Lisa came to the apartment again, this time with her mother. They brought boxes to collect some household items we'd agreed she could take. Her mother repeatedly tried to engage me in conversation about marriage difficulties and second chances while Lisa gathered her things. She shared a story about nearly splitting up with her husband shortly after Lisa was born due to his long work hours and her suspicions of an affair, which turned out to be unfounded. She emphasized how glad she was that they had worked through their problems rather than separating. I helped carry boxes to their car but avoided engaging in the conversation beyond basic politeness. As they were about to leave, Lisa asked to speak with me alone while her mother waited in the car. Her mother seemed reluctant to leave us, glancing back several times as she walked to the vehicle. Once alone, Lisa's demeanor changed. She appeared more somber than during previous interactions. She stated she needed to clear her conscience and admitted lying about why I couldn't come to the reunion and spending significant time with Tyler there. However, she insisted they never slept together and only shared one kiss after the farewell dinner when they had both been drinking. She claimed she stopped it from going further and had immediately regretted the kiss. She didn't understand why Tyler would tell Jamie they had hooked up, suggesting perhaps in his mind a kiss counted as hooking up, or he was exaggerating to save face. She also acknowledged deleting text messages between her and Tyler before the reunion, admitting their conversations had sometimes ventured into reminiscing about their past relationship, which she knew would hurt me if I saw them. She claimed the cabin incident had been innocent. They had gone to get something from his car but had ended up talking for longer than intended about his recent divorce and his feelings of failure. When I asked why she was telling me this now, Lisa explained that since the divorce was happening regardless, she wanted me to know the truth. She acknowledged making a series of bad decisions and facing the consequences, but maintained she wasn't unfaithful to that extent. She also denied having doubts about our marriage before the reunion, contradicting what Tyler had told me, and suggested he might have misunderstood something she said about being nervous about having children. She handed me an envelope containing concert tickets for a band we both enjoyed. She said she had purchased them before the reunion as a surprise for our upcoming anniversary. She didn't expect me to use them with her but thought I might want them anyway. I accepted the envelope without comment. After she left, I received a text from Tyler stating Lisa had asked him to message me. He reiterated that they didn't sleep together at the reunion but only kissed. He admitted telling Jamie something happened while drunk but insisted that was an exaggeration. He apologized for his role in the situation and promised not to contact either of us again. Their stories now matched, which briefly made me pause. However, I then recalled all the previous lies. Even if they only kissed, Lisa had created and lied to spend time with an ex-boyfriend, then lied repeatedly when confronted. Whether they had sex or just kissed didn't change the fundamental breach of trust. The fact that both their stories had evolved over time made me question this latest version as well. The next day, Mark sent me screenshots of a heated exchange between him and Lisa, where she blamed him for ruining her marriage by texting me. In her messages, she called him a backstabbing friend and accused him of misinterpreting innocent interactions. In his responses, Mark stood by everything he told me and added that several others at the reunion had noticed Lisa and Tyler's behavior but weren't comfortable getting involved. He mentioned specific instances I hadn't heard about before, including Lisa and Tyler disappearing from an evening bonfire for over an hour. In her messages to Mark, Lisa admitted she and Tyler had discussed their past relationship during the reunion and reminisced about old times. She accused Mark of making assumptions about their cabin time but notably didn't deny they'd been alone together for longer than she'd initially claimed. She also referenced inside jokes and harmless flirting that shouldn't have been taken seriously by observers. For me, each new piece of information only confirmed my decision. Even this late admission about the kiss appeared to be a partial truth designed to explain away Jamie's revelation while minimizing her actions. The pattern of deception, followed by minimal admissions only when confronted with evidence, had destroyed any foundation of trust. I focused on establishing my new life. I purchased furniture for my apartment instead of using the temporary pieces I'd brought from our house. My sister introduced me to her husband's friend who needed help renovating his basement, which has given me a project to focus on during evenings and weekends. Lisa has stopped reaching out as frequently. According to mutual friends, she's been telling people she made a mistake but that my unwillingness to forgive is the real reason our marriage ended. Some believe her, others don't. I've stopped trying to correct the record or defend my decision. Those who know me understand, and those who don't aren't important to my future. The divorce will be final in the coming months, hopefully as soon as possible. I will update then. Final update, the divorce was finalized last week. I expected to receive the final papers without any drama, but that's not what happened. 2 days before our divorce was to become official, I received an email from Lisa. The subject line was the whole truth. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity got the better of me. In the email, Lisa finally admitted that she and Tyler had indeed slept together during the reunion. Not just once, but twice. She claimed she'd been fighting the divorce so hard at the start because she couldn't face admitting the full truth, even to herself. According to her email, Tyler had reached out to her a month before the reunion, and they'd been communicating regularly. When she learned he was attending, she deliberately created the story about spouses not being welcome. She provided details I hadn't known before. Their first night together had been planned in advance, not a spontaneous decision influenced by alcohol as she had previously suggested. She had arranged to meet him at his cabin after the welcome dinner, claiming to others she needed to make a work call. Their second encounter occurred after the farewell dinner, when most attendees were distracted by group activities. She expressed regret for everything and especially how she'd tried to make me look unreasonable to our friends for wanting a divorce. She acknowledged manipulating the situation by only admitting to parts of the truth when confronted with evidence. She ended by saying she wasn't asking for forgiveness, just wanting to stop living with the lies. I forwarded the email to my sister without comment. She called me immediately to check if I was okay. I confirmed I was fine, having suspected as much all along. When she asked if I wanted to use this admission in the divorce proceedings, I declined, stating the terms were fair as they were and I just wanted it completed. The documentation was filed in my records, but I saw no benefit in using it to punish Lisa further. I didn't respond to Lisa's email. There was nothing left to say. The day after the divorce was finalized, Lisa's sister called me. We had always gotten along well during family gatherings. She'd learned about Lisa's confession email and wanted to apologize for how her family had treated me throughout the process. She explained that Lisa had finally told their parents everything, and they were mortified about how they had pressured me to reconcile. I assured her it wasn't their fault, as they were simply supporting their daughter as should be expected. She emphasized that they wanted me to know they didn't blame me for how things turned out, with her father feeling especially bad about what he had said to me during his intervention attempt. 2 days later, I received another email from Lisa requesting to meet one last time to return some of my personal items she'd found while packing up the house, which we had decided to sell as part of the divorce settlement. I agreed to meet. Lisa arrived 10 minutes late and handed me a small box containing an old watch that had belonged to my grandfather, some photographs from my childhood that had been mixed with hers. The watch had been missing for months, and I had accused Lisa of misplacing it during cleaning. She admitted she had found it long ago but had hidden it during an argument, then forgotten about it until packing. After an awkward silence, she thanked me for not using her confession email against her legally. I simply stated that wouldn't have benefited either of us. Her appearance had changed, she had cut her hair short and looked thinner than when I'd last seen her. She mentioned continuing with therapy, trying to understand her actions. We finished our coffee in silence. As we were about to leave, she asked if I would consider staying in touch occasionally, as friends. I declined politely, explaining I thought a clean break would be healthier for both of us. She nodded and didn't push further. Thank you, Reddit, for being there through this entire journey. When I first posted here around a year ago, I was completely lost. Your advice, support, and similar stories helped guide me through the darkest period of my life.